Cancel.
Schweezy.
Today, we all know Joshua Casey, author of, what's the book called? Tracking Desire, A Journey After Swallowtail Kites. Josh gets made fun of on this show a lot because we're friends, and that's what friends can do. But today, today we're going with a Josh positive episode because he sent me this bumper sticker. So for those of you watching, it says "Honk if you love butt drugs." Now, Butt Drugs is a place, I believe, in Louisville, Kentucky. I think it's like one of those old school pharmacies, and it's called Butt Drugs. And one time I drove past it, and I had an hour left in my journey, and that's all I thought about for that next hour. Just like, is there a story? Is that someone's last name? Why would you have the last name Butt? Why would you not change your last name Butt? So we got a very Josh positive episode of Cancel Schweezy today. So deciding to be nice to Josh, I did write down about 5 things that I really like about Josh. So I'm just going to go through this list right now. Also, I should put a picture of him. Let's not block everybody right here. I like how Josh's wife cuts his hair. I really do enjoy that Josh's wife cuts his own hair. It reminds me of like a mom who's like, I'm just going to buzz cut my son because his hair doesn't matter. And I like that Josh's wife does that with him as well. And it's just really a special thing. He says he takes a number 4 razor all around, and that's pretty neat. I think it's really cool that Josh's wife cuts his hair. He could go somewhere to a professional, but he chooses his wife, which I think is really cool. Josh also, one thing I also like about Josh is he wrote a book about birds, Tracking Desire, A Journey After Swallowtail Kites. I think those are birds. I believe they're birds. I have only read like the first chapter of his book. And you're like, maybe you're a terrible friend for only reading the first chapter. However, I'm going to work on the audiobook, so I'm going to deal with it later, okay? But I like that he writes books about birds. It's one of my favorite things. Another thing I really like about Josh is he doesn't actually use a limiter on a podcast. So, if those of you who are not audio nerds or do not have a degree in music technology and are doing podcasts during a pandemic, basically what a limiter does, it's a type of compressor, but what it does, it'll help you get your volume of your recording, it'll boost it in a good way to the proper level, because, that's why, if you remember when commercials were louder than the TV show itself, that was because they were limited, and like when they're mastered, the audio mastering was at a different level than the commercials. And so like they basically created guidelines, like Spotify requires you to be at negative like 14 dB or something like that. Well, limiting makes sure everything's at the proper level. Now, I do it with the podcasting too, so when you have the music at the beginning and then transitioning into me talking, what I like to do is, kind of make sure that I limited up the volume up there so it matches the music. So, because music is typically mastered at the correct volume, and so if you match like me talking to it, it works out pretty well. And if you are an actual audio nerd and you're explaining that totally badly, just know I do know how to use a limiter. I just may not know how to explain it because I am not a nerd. So fuck you. But not Josh. This is Josh positive, but I like how he doesn't use a limiter on his podcast, so I have to crank up the volume on whatever device I'm listening to that podcast on, the volume really high, and then when I switch to start listening or watch something else, the volume makes me a little deaf. So I really like how quiet Josh's podcast is because he doesn't use a limiter. That was number 3 of things I like about Josh. Number 4, my 4th favorite thing about Josh is I like how he's abstinent while he's married. Abstinence is a very hard thing to accomplish as a man, and I think him being able to stay abstinent while he's married is really cool. And I really like that about Josh, because Josh is really, really strong, headstrong. He'll take you on headstrong. He'll take on anyone. That's why I really like that Josh is abstinent while married. That's a really cool thing. The final thing I like about Josh is that I like that he doesn't have a normal name. I mean, Some people could be named. My real name is Sam. A full name Samuel. We got Micah. That's a normal name. Steve. I know Steve. Steve from Ghost Town Remedy. That's a name. And I like how Josh is not a normal name. And I really like that about Josh. And so those are 5 things I like about Josh. So, and for the rest of this episode, if Josh comes up, it'll be a Josh positive episode. Now the photo can go away. What's going on, my fellow Schwoklord? Hope you enjoyed that highlight from one of the great shows that I make. If you want to watch more clips or even full episodes, go check them out over here and down below and everywhere else. Stay awesome.